In terms of building a program, we talk about building the one-way play, which is building one program for one type of person who's got one problem with one price point. That's the one-way play. All right. And then before that, we need what we call mom. We need to have a marketplace. So for me, I was marketing the skinny guys. Then you need an offer. My offer was build 30 pounds of muscle without drugs. And then you need messaging, marketplace, offer, and messaging. And my messaging was build 30 plus pounds of muscle without drugs, steroids, and in less time. Polarizing messaging.
Bienvenido al FEMPRENDE Podcast, el espacio número 1 de desarrollo personal y empresarial para cristo creyentes. Juntos aprenderemos sobre las herramientas necesarias para detonar todo nuestro potencial divino y ganar en todas las áreas de nuestra vida de la mano de Dios. Sin más, comenzamos.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a este nuevo episodio de tu podcast FEMPRENDE. Y tenemos otra entrevista ahora con alguien que también admiro muchísimo y es Vince Del Monte. Él es un discípulo de Craig Valentine, la persona que tuvimos hace poco, o que si no has escuchado su entrevista, escúchala. Él es cristo creyente, él es seguidor de Jesús y tuve la oportunidad de hablar con él. Y durante esta sesión está muy interesante porque él nos comparte también mucho de su perspectiva sobre cómo crecer un negocio. Él es una persona que invierte mucho, no solamente en crecer él, sino en su negocio, proteger su familia. Tiene valores muy marcados, lo respeto bastante. Y bueno, creo que va a ser una sesión muy, muy rica, con mucha información. Ya no te quiero quitar tu tiempo. Vámonos directo al grano. Vamos con Vince Del Monte y espero que disfrutes esta sesión.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm super excited today because we have a very special person with us, and she's going to teach you a lot. He's Vince Del Monte. He's a fitness business coach. He's been featured in Forbes, ESPN, Inc., Sex Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine. He's sold millions of dollars via affiliate marketing, product launches, membership site, clothing supplements. Well, he's just been killing it. And he's a business coach running a high-level mastermind for online fitness experts and have produced millionaires and countless of six-figure earners. But the most important thing is that he's not ashamed about his Christian faith. And today, that's the thing that we're going to focus a lot. Thank you a lot, Vince, for being with us today, man. It's just super, super excited to be with you.
Well, thank you, Sol, for having me. I'm excited.
So I just want to start with your faith, man. Do you grow in a Christian home, or it was just something that you catch up later, or something like you grew with, but you didn't feel it, and just later you're in your teens, you just gotta wrap it up? What was your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I grew up in a Christian home. My parents were they called themselves C&E Christians, so they went to church during Christmas and Easter only.
Okay, yeah.
We're both Catholic, and my parents came to know Christ at the University of Western Ontario, and it became very real. It became their playbook for life. Their relationship with God became their essentially who they were. That's who they found their identity in their relationship with Jesus. And they became a part of a Christian organization called the Navigators of Canada. And their whole mission is to disciple men and women, one person at a time. So I did grow up in a Christian home. My father was a pastor for 19 years as well. I think the big thing that, the biggest impact though was seeing my parents live it out.
Okay.
I always, if I had to complain about my childhood, my parents set a bar too high. They really exemplified, Christ at the center of the relationship. So I don't have one of those stories where, I had the worst upbringing. And, I had my parents really, really proved that when you're highly engaged and give your kids, a great roadmap and are fully supportive and, put them in the right environment and protect them from other environments. Me and my brothers, we're all doing really great things. We all have our issues. None of us are perfect. My parents aren't perfect, but I'd say we came out pretty good, if you will. In my mid-20s, when I started making money and I was getting buff, I started to find my faith was tough to live up to. And I started wondering, there was Saturday night Vince and there was Sunday morning Vince. And I felt that Christian lifestyle was a lot of pressure. So I do remember kind of, actually telling my parents, I don't want to fake it anymore. And I didn't like say I don't believe in God or I don't believe in Jesus or anything, or I didn't denounce my faith at all. I just wanted to go rebel. Not like crazy, but I definitely wanted to go out with my non-Christian buddies, bottle service, girls, and trips. And I did that for 3 years. Never got into drugs, nothing like that. But I definitely went to have fun. And my whole rationale was like, I got to go get all the partying out of my system. Little did I know, all that partying got put back. That partying got put into my system. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it wasn't like I got it out of my system. I wanted to do it more and more. Right. I'm like, oh geez. So, fortunately I, met a beautiful girl when I was 29. And this was when I was dating 5 girls at once prior to that. Wow. And, she, was my saving grace, if you will. She was also a Christian, and I knew within the first 3 days I was going to marry her. 6 months later, we got engaged. 6 months later, we were married. 11 years later, we have 3 kids. And I think what happened with Flavia was that she gave me an opportunity to be the man I wanted to be, and she didn't ask me anything about my past. So that 3-year window where I went crazy, I didn't go crazy, but I definitely wasn't, living a Christian-based life. I exercised my freedoms, and she didn't want to know anything about it. To this day, 11 years later, she knows nothing about those 3 years of partying. And I was like, wow, what a gift she gave me. And I wanted to be that man that she met. You know how every guy is when they meet the girl they want to be with, they're perfect, they're on audition. Well, that was me. I'm like, I want to be this guy though. Like, this is who I want to be. So she gave me a chance, and I stepped into it. And that was kind of like, in summary, my faith journey.
Wow. And well, that's interesting. And what part you start like making your business, like this entrepreneurial journey at that same pace that you met her, or what was before, or that was like
cool. So I graduated university at 22, worked in the fitness industry for a couple of years, realized that I could only make so much working for my boss, discovered the internet, launched my own online business. Was a struggle for the first 2 years. Then it took off. And I launched my business when I was 25. And then my business grew to multiple 7 figures just after the age of 30. And I met her when I was 29.
Okay.
So my business was like starting to pick up steam. Actually, the year I met her, I had my first 7-figure year. I proposed to her on my 26th birthday. No, 26th, no, I proposed to her on my 30th birthday. So a lot of stuff was happening. A lot of like milestones were being achieved all at the same time. Business was growing, met my future wife, got married, and, so a lot of stuff happened, and I always have felt like God's hand's always been on my life. I'm like I just continue to experience his goodness and his love. I'm like he's just keeps hounding me down. And I feel like that's a big part of my story where I was going off in one direction. He didn't let me go. How did I deserve her when I was being a goofball dating all these girls at the same time, right? I didn't deserve her, right? But so I think, God won me over with his just unrelentless pursuit, or his relentless pursuit of me and not giving up. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to be an idiot if I keep trying to move away from this guy that is just giving, being good. And, I think I finally woke up 30 years later.
Wow. And if there was like a point that you directly like connect your faith with your business, or being like more intentional, or there's like always been this like vibe with, okay, I depend on God, or there were like just a breaking point that, God, you're my best business partner, or you're going to help me out with this, or going to shift the mindset, something that happened?
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I always noticed, like, I guess one thing that pet peeve I had was a lot of Christians were talking and praying, but they weren't acting.
Yeah.
So there was always this fire under my rear. And then I always hear a lot of Christians, like, talk about, taking care of their temple, but they're out of shape. And, there's a lot of incongruencies. And I didn't like that. not that I was being judgmental. I'm like, they probably just need help. But I'm like, I want to be a trade up in all areas of life. So the way I saw it was, one, get my body where I want it to be. So I had people come to me for muscle building advice. Nobody was coming to me for business building advice or faith advice or relationship advice. People were coming to me on how to build my body. And then when I got engaged, people started asking about relationship stuff. And then 10 years later, people started asking about, hey, how'd you build your business? So I just always, my dad taught me this. He said, make your life a trade up, because nobody wants to trade down. So I always had an aspiration to be an example of having everything. I don't believe you can have everything all at once, but over time you can definitely have everything. So I built my body, I built my business, building my marriage. I didn't do it all at once. And I wanted to show people that, God honors people that honor him. I think that's really what I've just wanted to really just give God the glory in terms of, guys, I'm not perfect. I screw up. I do my best to put God first in my decisions and how I, conduct myself. And it seems like he just continues to bless, And it's not a formula. It's like a true, amazing relationship. So I think when you have that, it's hard to keep that a secret. I would consider that disingenuous to keep my faith to myself, because I feel like this is where my unfair advantage comes from, my relationship and who I go to strength for, and biblical principles that help me reframe things, and timeless truths that help me make certain decisions instead of other decisions, and where to focus on, and how to show up in the world is, to show up with hope and positivity and light, and not to show up with the world's going to hell in a handbasket tomorrow, especially what's going on in the world right now. Like, how should a Christian show up right now? And how can I be light in this time and show that I trust, and that I'm not happy with what's going on in the world right now either. But at the same time, I know God's hands on everything, and he's way bigger than all of this. So I really try and let my faith show up in how I do things and what I do, as opposed to what I say. I heard T.D. Bishop Jake say a great line recently. He said, a lot of people use language to cover up lifestyle.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that's like, I could get caught up in that, because when you have an Instagram account and a podcast and you're being interviewed, it's easy to know what to say. You can sound really good on a podcast. You can sound really good in a caption, right? But what's going on behind closed doors? So I've always strived to have congruency. If you put my wife on here and you said, hey, Vince, or hey, Flavia, what's this guy Vince all about? Is he a good husband? Is he a good father? Is he present? That's where you're going to hear the truth.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted there to be, I've always envisioned, I want my life when I'm dead, for whatever they say up in front of the room, by my casket, I want to make sure everybody in that room says
congruent.
Yeah, I don't want somebody to say, who's that? Who are they talking about?
Yeah. That was a stranger. Yeah.
Who's this guy? I've never heard of it. Who's this guy? I never met this guy before. So I think that's called integrity, right? To be the word integrity comes from the root word integer. And integer is a whole number. So I've always wanted to be whole, and I haven't wanted to live like a compartmentalized life. If you look at like what sunk the Titanic, there was a leak, and they thought that the ship was safe because it was compartmentalized. If water got into one section of the boat, it wouldn't leak into other sections of the boat. But what we learned is that you can't compartmentalize things, right? You can't have like this over here, like a, picture perfect business here, and then your family life's a disaster, right? That it's all going to leak. It's all going to leak, and it's all going to sink, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So I think that's what I'm striving for, to demonstrate that you can have balance, maybe not all, once, but you can work towards having balance in all areas of your life by focusing on one thing at a time. And I think the big thing we teach our students is to, build your finances without sacrificing your faith in the process. right? Is you don't have to hide your faith. This is who you are, right? And right, everything is God's anyways. I think that's the mindset, that's the principles that I've read in the Bible, where God's just put everything on loan to me.
Yeah.
He's the giver and I'm the manager. So like all my talents, my business, my team members, my kids, my wife, they're all on loan to me, and they're not mine. I'm not taking them with me, right? So I think I just have this spirit of like steering what I have well. And I've seen the better I steward what I have, the more I'm given. And I think that's a beautiful principle to like guide your life. Like, why would I expect more if I'm not even managing what I have right now?
You're not obtaining the maximum. Actually, I don't know if you read this Evangelpreneur book from Josh Starling.
I haven't read that one.
It's really good. It talks about what they call the vertical alignment. So you just put your priorities like God, family, business. So when you're gonna make a decision, you first contrast or ask what God thinks about this decision. It does affect my family, does affect my relationship with God, does affect my business. So it's like a very wise and simple way to make decisions that are not affecting. So this is a really good book. I can recommend you this one. Evangelpreneur. It just has really good principles. And that was one of the things that I learned to make wiser decisions, just to have my vertical alignment really clear. So much, what are my priorities? And so I have God, then my family. So my decisions, does affect God? No, but does affect my family? Well, so it's off. It's not gonna be made because it's affecting my priorities in life. So it was one of the biggest decision hacks that I've learned. This is a really good one. And that now that you talk about that, I think it's about also the mindset of a Christian entrepreneur that's kind of different, because, well, your boss is God, if you want to see it like that. You cannot get like away from, like, you can talk like with your clients in a way, or your business partners in a way. Just go and be another person. Like, God's gonna be with you every time. He's gonna be seeing you, and integrity is key. So do you see, like, or by you've been going to masterminds, events, and meet a lot of people that are really great in business, but do you feel, or do you know, like, a mindset that a Christian entrepreneur has different from someone that does not have this like relationship with God? I don't know, like, maybe, you know what, Saul, I met these guys that are like super rich, but they don't have the peace that I have, or the satisfaction that I have, something like that. Have you met that kind of things?
Oh, big time. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, figuring out, who you find your identity in, what you find your identity in. I find my identity in being a son, and having a heavenly father, and knowing that I'm being fathered, and that, I'm not here temporarily. I've been put here on purpose by him. So, it's in my best interest to kind of find alignment with why I've been put here, and to be in alignment with his will for my life. So I think that, yeah, am I trying to build God's kingdom, or am I trying to build my kingdom? Am I trying to build God's empire, or am I trying to build, Vince Del Monte's empire? I think it comes just from a sense of knowing who you are and where everything you have has come from. And yeah, you can find a lot of guys have they find their identity in their net worth and not their self-worth, right? They put more stock in their valuables than their values. And that's a losing game, right? Because that rich line's always moving. And, the thirst for, power, I mean, that's an unquenchable thirst. You never get to a point where, I want less power. I want less money. I want less status. I want less fame. Typically something that is filling a void in your life, right? What void? What is that money doing for you? Once you get to a certain amount, if you need so much, and people say stuff like, "Oh, it's for impact," I'm like, yeah, but are you having impact when you're going that wide? You're kind of just skimming the surface, but are you going deep with anybody? So people use a lot of words to rationalize. I'm not saying that they're not driven by impact, but a lot of these guys who have got really big followings, like, it's kind of like they're touching people's lives, but they're not really going deep. Maybe they're a part of their transformation, but I just think that a lot of people get caught up in, using terms like legacy and impact. And when, I've watched my dad disciple men for 40 years. And, he's been meeting the same group of men at the same breakfast spot for the last 20 years, 4 guys, and they go deep. That's called impact. Like when you have real, true friendships, right? Real relationships. And I guess there's different ways to define impact. I just find like a lot of people that are on this quest for more, they're never satisfied. I had friends say, I'm going to retire at 40. Now he's not retired at 40. He started 3 new businesses at 40, and he's lost his marriage. Going through a nasty divorce. He's going to lose everything. But he convinced her, I'll be done working by the age of 40. This will all stop. Like, it's like that same thing I said. You don't get it out of your system. You just put it in your system because it becomes who you are. The success, fame, the money, all the publicity. So, that's something only somebody can answer themselves. I can't judge somebody's heart. I can't judge somebody's motives, and only God knows that. And I think at the end of the day, that's the thing, right? You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and know why you're doing what you're doing, and know it's coming from a true spot, a spot that's in, that's rooted in good intention.
Okay. Wow. No worries. Yeah. So let's get a little bit more technical. So let's say for a Christian entrepreneur that's starting a business, not what should be like the main focus things that he has to do, like just by starting a business? You know what? Okay, man, you're praying, whatever. Take action, yes, take action, massive action, it's important. But what are the things that the keys that they had to just focus and be like disciplined to execute to start making this momentum and progress?
Well, yeah, I think show up daily. If you're building a coaching business, which is what I teach our fitness professionals to do, I teach fit pros how to start, grow, and scale online fitness businesses. You have to create content daily, right? You have to have conversations with people in the DM. You have to be booking calls, and you got to improve your phone sales skills to close over the phone. Then you need to learn how to coach. So I kind of give them a little C6 there, right?
Yeah.
You need to know how to build a following first. So build a congregation. That's your first C. Then you need to know how to create great content. And then you need to know how to have productive conversations. And then you need to learn how to close on the phone. Then you need to learn how to coach people. And then you need to learn how to stay consistent when roadblocks hit. So those are the 6 pillars. We call it C6 protocol on building a successful online fitness business. That's really crucial. And then in terms of building a program, we talk about building the one-way play, which is building one program for one type of person who's got one problem with one price point. That's the one-way play. All right. And then before that, we need what we call MOM. We need to have a marketplace. So for me, I was marketing the skinny guys. Then you need an offer. My offer was build 30 pounds of muscle without drugs. And then you need messaging, marketplace, offer, and messaging. And my messaging was build 30 plus pounds of muscle without drugs, steroids, and in less time, polarizing messaging. So right there, that's a couple of years worth of coaching right there. Yeah. Those are the high level things. MOM, one-way play, C6 protocol. I'm actually writing 3 books right now. And those are actually book 1, book 2, book 3.
Okay.
So,
wow. Then you go deep on one in each one. Yeah.
Yeah. Each book will be one of those 3 things that I just talked about. And those are really, those are the high level tactics. And then it's, at the end of the day, it's just getting real clear on, what you want to build and what contribution you want to make to the world. And, what solution can you solve better than anybody else? Where are you filling a gap in the marketplace? And then that will guide you towards figuring out the strategies and the tactics.
So I think that the majority of us, when we're starting a business, we have this crisis about pricing. Like, so I charge more, so I charge cheap. And I know that the pricing elasticity, it just goes in terms of value. But what's like your experience about charging a high ticket offer? Like, do you have like a kind of hack or tip that you can share with us about just trying to do something that it's, because a lot of people just try to get volume and they're like serving a lot of people but the money isn't enough, so they cannot serve with excellence. And so what can we start doing to charge a high ticket and go through that direction if we're starting from by like a solopreneur?
Mm-hmm. I like to start off a little lower. Like, pricing is a great subject matter. I believe the goal of the business is to become profitable, right? The goal of business is to be profitable, not just have a lot of clients. So you can have a lot of clients if you charge $10 a month, but are they getting results? So I believe like you need to set your prices so that you're profitable. But when you're first starting, your skills might not be there, your service might not be there. So I like to kind of increase pricing. I love like the idea of having pricing like, you know, a Bentley, a Mercedes-Benz, a Rolls-Royce is like you're in a category of one where it's so like, how in the world is anyone paying $350,000 for a car, right? Well, they're no longer buying a car, right? They're buying status. So there's a lot to be said about pricing, but, you know, practically for most people who aren't coming in with like an established brand and following, you're going to start on the lower level. Let's say $500 for your program, and you build it up to, you know, heck, I don't know, $15,000, $20,000, you know, every 10 to 20 clients. You just keep bumping up the pricing. Maybe you started at $3,000. The whole idea is to find a blend of volume, and I like having a sweet spot, like volume as well as premium prices. When you can get the maximum pricing with volume, I mean, that's when you're dominating the marketplace. What we did is we intentionally priced a little lower at the start so that we could build a big community where the members take care of each other. So if you look at our pricing, I'm not the most expensive price in my marketplace. Most people are shocked. They're like, oh, wow, I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive. So it will get more expensive, but we've got this massive community of members who are renewing, they're referring, they're getting results. So I took a different approach to my pricing where some people would say, you know, separate yourself with like crazy pricing. I'm like, well, you got to deliver on that now too. I feel like I like to over deliver in value. Our pricing is going to go up higher and higher, but the strategy that we used, I like it. We have almost 300 high ticket coaching programs. 300 members in one coaching program and over 500 in another program, both high ticket prices. But they're not so crazy that people can't get in. But we got these amazing communities. And that's what I wanted to build first, the community.
Wow. And so you when you started with a kind of a more accessible price to build more success stories, know better the market that you're serving. After that, you start increasing the price. And the key also is to build that community. So do you have like strategies to build a community? Like something like you share, like when you're trying to build something that supports the group or like dynamics or something that you do there?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. I mean, we have a lot of group coaching calls. We have a lot of community posts where we recognize members for hitting certain milestones. We have different types of posts, gives, wins, applauds to other members. So there's everything in the community happens that creates a sense of belonging and commitment to seeing the group grow and not just seeing what I can get from the group. That all starts with the coaches, you know, how much one-on-one coaching we offer. We're big on celebration. So where members are winning, we celebrate them. So celebration is huge. Hitting certain milestones is huge. We have an advanced group, a beginner group, so they're separated. So all the beginners are trying to work their way up into the advanced group. People want to be recognized for their efforts. And that's a big part of, there's so many little tactics, but the big thing we do is celebrate very specific milestones publicly in the group.
Okay. So I just want to close with this. I know that you're talking about the pandemic scenario, or we as entrepreneurs has to make some strategies. Can you recommend or something like just, hey, you know what, this thing is crazy. You never know it's gonna be another lockdown, or they're gonna put like this super, like here in Mexico, you have to use masks like for everything. It's not an option. It's just they're not gonna let you go to a restaurant or nothing. You have to use it like in every place you're running. But so can you recommend something like, okay, we're in this scenario that we cannot control what the government is doing at the end of the day here, but you as a business owner try to go this direction or to focus on these things, to just be consistent and try to make a profit. Do you have something that you can share with that?
Well, yeah, first decide that you're not going to let the government control your reality. We're moving to Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm getting a visa. I got to sell my house. Got to find a house. I got to get the kids in school. My wife is going to be taking lead on quite a bit of that. We have to figure out this departure tax, all sorts of things. Then we got these vaccine passports now. I got to figure out, I could probably just fly private, but that's another additional, 20, 30 grand just to leave the country, fly the same distance because I don't have a certain card. So it's a lot of steps. You got to get set on your vision, and you got to get real committed to your values. Like, I'm not going to live in a community, a split society, right? And if, where we're going, Tennessee turns into a split society and gets really bad there, we'll move again, right?
Yeah.
We come to Mexico. If it gets really bad there, we'll go again. If we go to the mountains of Romania and it gets bad there, we'll move again. So I think you have to get resourceful. I think the number one thing is to get resourceful. And, I don't know anything about getting an E2 visa. I don't know anything about, all this stuff that we're doing right now, finding new schools, selling a house, building a new home, like up in a hill. Like, this is all new for me. But I'm getting resourceful. I'm relentless. I'm resilient. And I'm a problem solver. And I ask questions. So I think if somebody wants to build their business, give themselves options, you need to get in a community where there's people already doing what you want to do, right? If you come into my world, I'll show you how to make enough money so that you can fly wherever you want. There's solutions for people that decide to become problem solvers, get preemptive, not make excuses. There's always a solution. There's always solutions. I can't talk about this. I won't say too much, but there's doctors that you can get the vaccine passports. It's all legit. It's all legal. There's doctors, you got to pay quite a bit of money, but you can get the cards so that you can go fly. I've got lots of friends who already have them. So there'll be workarounds. If that's something you don't want to do, there'll be solutions for everything. But if you just read the news or, listen to the news, you think the world's going to hell in a handbasket, but there's been more millionaires and billionaires produced in the past year and a half than ever before in history. The news doesn't report that.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to get around people that are succeeding, and you'll have a different lens of the world than if you're hanging out with, the fake news that's only reporting the doom and gloom.
Yeah, sure. Wow. What's interesting, because over here in Mexico, we have a very rigorous approach, and the people are more like sheepish, like they're like sheeps, and it's endlessly a lot of these things going on. Like, you have to go to core values. It's like my pastor has his poster and he shares to us, or it's just crazy. But I think one of the best things as an entrepreneur is that freedom that you're talking about. I know that I have the capacity to build something, and through internet I can serve people not necessarily in my country. Like, for example, my main business is helping doctors to improve their practice. So I help them understand their business and systemize the business and grow their private practice. And that's something that I started doing in Mexico. Like, and I have over 200 doctors from around my country that I have been serving. And I started that in my mom's house because I lost my marketing agency the past year, and I just had $1 in my card. So the only thing that I had to do is just go and seek out a doctor Facebook group, and I started doing live sessions, teaching them how to sell or understand their business. And after that, I just started building an audience, and then I built a site called Top Clinic, and right now it's the #1 podcast for business and doctors in Latin America. So that's one thing that I did. I lost everything. I didn't control nothing else, and I only had a cassette from Dan Kennedy about how to make direct response. That was the only thing that I had, and so I started my business with that. I just had to re-engineer myself, and then I bought the magnetic marketing kit, and it started doing just things like So that's how I started doing it, and just teaching doctors, and it's been quite an adventure. But what you say, when I realized that I'm in control of my growth, I am in control of my income, and I'm in control in a lot of things that give me some kind of freedom, that I'm not gonna be attached to the government or the news or whatever, and that give you peace, because you know that wherever you go, you can become a person of value, and if you're a person of value, you're gonna attract money, you're gonna attract opportunities, you're gonna attract something, because you know that you have something to give to other people to help them out. So that was one of the things that I learned through this process, and it was something. Yeah, but and seeing you, hearing you, I found you in the podcast with Pedro Sculian, and I was just I was just seeking you, and then Craig, and I interviewed Craig Valentine also, and I would just see you guys, and I was like amazed. Like over here in Mexico, I don't have these people that I can go and see, and like you, those are the things that you do. So you inspire me a lot, and I was just, whoa, if there's no people here doing this, I'm gonna start doing it in my country, and that's how I started out doing this. And well, not right now that I was hearing you and talk about your faith and your beliefs, and I was like, I need to have this guy in my podcast, because I can connect with that. And I know that the people that I talk about or serve, they have to hear you, man. They have to hear you, and you know that it's possible, and no matter where you live, you're in control about your growth, and also that you don't have to sacrifice your beliefs or your faith to profit and growth and build your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing to remember through all this, right? Nobody's taking away your freedom to focus, right? You get to choose what you focus on. If you focus on fear, you'll get a lot of fear in your life. If you focus on fighting, you'll find a lot of fighting. If you focus on frustration, you'll always be frustrated. But I find if you focus on favor, and that, you know, God's got his hand on your life, and that what you have is very favorable, you'll find more favor. You get more and more favor because you see things differently. So that's the story of my life. You know, I've always just got what I focus on. So if you want favor, focus on favor and all the opportunities you currently have right there in front of you, instead of talking about what you don't have and your lack and your scarcity and being in a state of survival. Once you start focusing on what you do have and start utilizing those resources, all right? And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you start experiencing more, better, longer, you know, it's a better life. So focus on what you can control, and that's all you can do, right? Be present. If you how can you look back on your life and not have any regrets if you were fully present because you focused on everything you could control? I think that's, you know, the kind of moving towards that whole life of responsibility, your ability to respond. So the closer you can live that out, I think the more contentment you'll have.
Exactly. Well, Vince, thank you a lot for everything, man. It was just amazing. Hopefully, we can have you later with more data, and also to you can share out your books when you publish them, and I can just being more connected with you, man. It's been an honor to have you, to hear you about your faith, your growth. You're being a lot of inspiration for a lot of us, and I'm just gonna close this, guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna just have a little more seconds with Vince. I'll see you in your next podcast. Vince, where they can find you, man? Where they can find your programs, everything that you have to give about your business.
Yeah, thank you. There's 3 spots. So it's Vince Del Monte on Instagram, at Vince Del Monte, VinceDelmonte. They'll see the blue verified account. I'm also on Facebook, so Vince Del Monte. And I've got a podcast as well, the Vince Del Monte podcast show. So whenever your vice of choice is, you can find me at Vince Del Monte.
Okay, so there you know, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to stay a little bit seconds with Vince, and see you in the next podcast. Ciao, ciao.
Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos en el episodio del día de hoy. No olvides suscribirte en cualquiera de las plataformas disponibles y también dejar tus comentarios, dudas o preguntas, ya que nos encanta leerte. Y si la información fue de valor, te invito a que nos des una calificación positiva, además que nos compartas con aquellas personas que tú creas que necesitan escuchar la sesión del día de hoy. Sin más, nos vemos en nuestro próximo episodio y que Dios te bendiga.